Good afternoon, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here, and welcome back to another weather forecast. In today's weather forecast, we're going to be looking at the overall weather pattern because next week is sure looking quite mild for much of the United States, but what about that precipitation? And then we're going to be looking at your temperature anomalies because it's going to be sure mild for Christmas and even for New Year's. So here's a look at the latest European model. This is a 12Z run that was released 2 hours ago. And this is for Monday afternoon in the next 6 to 12 hours for December 16th, 2024. And we can see where it's raining right now across the upper Midwest, all the way down across, northeastern Texas into Arkansas, as well as Louisiana. Pretty good coming down there. If you're in, Kentucky, if you're in Pennsylvania, if you are in the Ohio area, but that's going to be moving through pretty nicely, left with much drier conditions. But the overall pattern will be zonal. That means more rainstorms, less snow for many locations. And across the Pacific Northwest, we really need to talk about you in this video because there is going to be a risk for more significant flooding, more heavy rainfall, more mountain snowfall, and the potential for more strong winds. We'll be looking at the Climate Prediction Center here in a little while towards the middle and the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned for that because we are going to be digging deep into this. All right, by Wednesday morning, December the 18th, here in a couple of days, we have another system that does develop here over Texas, over Arkansas, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, Alabama, into Tennessee. Some of those storms could be capable of producing some thunderstorms, maybe some small hail. But look at the Pacific Northwest. More rain, more snow. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a long ride ahead for those locations, and that's because of a very active North Pacific jet that is racing across the Pacific, aiming these storms into California, Oregon, and Washington, Idaho, and Montana. But then that one splits off and it becomes a little bit of an Alberta Clipper. That's what we call them here in the United States because you have this snow that happens on the northern side, not much rainfall on the southern side. So yeah, you could get a little bit of snow, maybe 6 to almost 12 inches of snow out of that system over Minnesota. Then it really falls apart by the time it gets into Wisconsin and Michigan. But hey, there's more snow on the way for Thursday into Friday. So for your evening commute, just keep that in mind. Just watch your speeds because the snow is going to be coming down a little on the light to moderate side. But guess what? That's really all you're going to see because the Pacific Northwest will steal all of the active weather. This is Friday, looking rather quiet other than the lake effect snow, maybe more snow here, more snow coming for the northern plains, but overall not as active as what models thought literally like 3 or 4 days ago when we were thinking about maybe something big could develop over the eastern seaboard. That does not look to happen at all, which is good news, so thumbs up, 7 up on that one. But unfortunately, it's going to mean other big problems ahead, especially for the West, like California, Nevada, portions of Nevada, Oregon, and Washington really going to be in trouble. Especially, it starts on Saturday. Again, you can see the first storm hitting California, more moderate to heavy rainfall, high elevation snow in the mountains, and then that moves into Oregon and Washington. But that's not all, right? You can see much of the nation looking quiet, but look at the Pacific Northwest. More rain for California. With this amount of rain in a short amount of time, we could start having flood problems on our rivers, on our small streams, as well on our urban road areas, streets as well, could be prone to flooding. So not good, but hey, we could use all the rain. We're already about 2 to 4 inches, well, we're at least like 2 or 3 inches above average for this time of the year. So that is good news. That's what we like to hear. I think it's even 4 inches, especially like Sacramento towards the north. And then next week, so we're going to stop it here for Monday afternoon. Actually, we'll go into Tuesday morning. I'll just be really nice to you all in this video. Actually, we'll go all the way out to Christmas Day. How does that sound? So this is the 23rd. There's your snow there for Wisconsin, Minnesota, as well as, Iowa. And that's going to be another one of those systems. It doesn't bring a whole lot of snow, and it's just going to be mainly more rainfall. But look at California, look at Oregon, Washington, more rainfall. These storm sequences, storm after storm after storm, hitting the west, and that's going to continue perhaps through Christmas Day. This is Christmas Eve, rainfall coming down in some areas across the east. And then it looks like Christmas Day could be a very stormy one across California, Oregon, and Washington. In fact, pretty significant rainfall totals and snowfall totals for the higher elevations could be possible on Christmas Day. And then for the high plains, that's where we have our next shot of rain, and then just whatever's left with that system over the southeast. Actually going back east next week, as far as it looks, this is 10 days out, so keep that in mind. This is, this is not Christmas Day. I'm ahead of myself. This is not Christmas Day, the 25th. That's Wednesday, bro. It's okay. So this is Christmas Day. Oh my goodness. I keep on thinking the 26th is Christmas Day, but it's not. Okay. So you can see there's a rain, Christmas Day, and then the day after Christmas, that makes it more better. All right. The day after Christmas is where it's going to be stormy. So if you're headed back from Christmas, flying out, or if you're driving back, it could be pretty bad, especially for the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, that's how far I'm going out. I'm only going out to 10 days because, yes, people are going to be traveling for Christmas and everyone's wondering about that. All right, so now to our snowfall totals. This time we're using the ensemble forecast. And you guys are probably asking me, like, why are you using the ensemble? It's not as high resolution. That's the point of it, because it's the average. It's the most likely scenario. This is what forecasters use at the National Weather Service. News stations will use this as well. They'll use the ensembles to get a general picture of what might be coming as far as your snowfall totals. And so you can see here, in general, with these Alberta clippers coming through, you might see on the average about 3 to maybe 5 inches. Some areas might see up to 6 inches of snowfall. The Pacific Northwest and California, for those tall mountain ranges, we could see about 1 to 3 feet of snowfall out of the ensemble. So quite a bit of snowfall coming back west through the early part of next week. And then, of course, when we go out to 10 days, let's go out there, you can see more additional snowfall is anticipated for California. So good news there. What about the rainfall totals? Where it doesn't snow, it's going to rain, right? So throughout Monday next week, you could see the ensemble painting a pretty good picture at rainfall. More additional rain through the early part of next week. So Monday and Tuesday, anywhere between about a half an inch to maybe a couple of inches of rain for central and northern California. For Oregon and Washington, anywhere between maybe about 2 to 4 inches. Some of the higher elevations here that are prone to the orographic effects might get up to about 8 or 9 inches of rainfall. That's a lot of rainfall on an ensemble forecast. And then, of course, anything across the Rockies or east of the Rockies, not going to see a whole lot. Maybe with that one system, I would say, you might get anywhere between about an inch to maybe a couple of inches of rainfall. But that's not a whole lot, really, on an overall average. I mean, that's all you're really going to get for a while. It's going to be hard to come by of any rainfall. And then throughout the next 10 days, more additional rainfall, especially for California, Oregon, and Washington, Idaho and Montana, and into northeast or northwestern Nevada is anticipated. So could be pretty rough for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and the day after Christmas for much of the Pacific Northwest and the western U.S., such as California. Now, another big story about this upcoming weather pattern will be how warm it's going to be. And a lot of you are already complaining, posting stuff on Twitter that, oh my goodness, this could be one of the warmest Christmases on record. And it's not surprising. We will be looking at that in a second. I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are. But it is going to be very warm and very unusually warm for a lot of locations. So this is for Tuesday, and this is the European deterministic run. We're not going to use the ensemble just because people want the, your exact temperature of where you're at. So we're just going to fast forward this. And of course, you're going to have this cold Arctic air mass moving through by the middle to the end of this week. That's all you're really going to see. And after that goes by, you are going to see a warm-up. So by the time we go into Friday morning, there's your Arctic air mass temperatures back into the single digits to negative territory in Minnesota, in the Dakotas, and Wisconsin. And once that departs, you are going to see a huge warm-up on the way, especially for next week. In fact, this is Monday morning. Goodbye Arctic air, except if you're in the Northeast. It can be very brutal there, very cold, but much warmer here in the midsection and the high plains. Now, by Christmas Eve, yeah, look how warm it's going to be. Much warmer, especially areas like, say, Quebec and Ontario, Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Canada. Just going to be really warm, warmer than average here. You can just see it by the actual air temperature. You should see temperatures in the single digits and negative territory up there. You're not going to see that. It's going to be really warm. So by the evening of Christmas Eve, you can see temperatures in, say in Indiana, going to be right around the freezing or just above freezing, and that's going to continue. Look at this. It's just get warmer by Christmas Day. It's not going to feel like Christmas at all in many areas. Temperatures are going to be in the 50s and 40s. Temperatures down here in the deep south will be in the 60s, 70s, and close to 80 degrees if you are in Florida. Wow, a very warm spot, to say the least, because, yeah, we got zonal flow, and that's going to really evac a lot of warmer air in. And look at this. Even in Alberta, Canada, going to see temperatures above freezing. Yeah, above freezing in that area. Now, how does this relate to your temperature anomaly forecast? Well, it's not looking pleasant, I'll tell you. If you're hoping for some very cold temperatures for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, sorry, Santa Claus will keep it to the north, unfortunately. So let's put this into motion. And yeah, for Thursday, here comes that cold blast of air. Take it all in. Like, I love this, and I love it. Because guess what? Once that moves out, you can say goodbye to the cold air. Because on Christmas Eve, yes, it's going to be warming up, especially for the Great Lakes, for the northern plains. Only a little bit of cooler weather left is along the eastern seaboard, the southeast, and the northeast. It's going to struggle to mix out there. But, like, eventually, look what happens. It really warms up. Friday, the 27th of December, temperatures up here in Hudson Bay, in the northern portion of Canada, central Canada, are anywhere between, say, 25 to 35 degrees above average. That's ridiculous on an ensemble forecast. And if that's not helpful, here's kind of the full view of it. All right, so hopefully you all can see this just fine. But you can see where it's going to be very warm. I mean, just about anywhere in the United States will have above average temperatures, but more significantly in across the northern tier of the United States. Now, going forward, it just doesn't get any better. By the last day of December, it could end out very, very warm for many locations here, unfortunately. In fact, on the 31st of December, New Year's Eve, it's still going to be very warm. No signs of any Arctic invasion at all for the foreseeable future, at least through the rest of December. Now, of course, we talked about why it's going to be warm, because the zonal flow. Just to show you proof of that, here's a look at the 500 millibar jet stream chart, or height chart. So orange, red colors indicate above average heights in the atmosphere. So usually, in general, the heights are higher. There's warmer air aloft. And so as we go forward, you can see that's going to stick around. This Arctic invasion, that's your northwesterly flow. But then behind it, look what we got. We got a lot of ridging, large-scale ridging across much of the northern plains into the Great Lakes. And that's going to hold true for a little while here, for quite some time, in fact. A lot of ridging up here in Canada. So, in other words, don't expect any extremely cold Arctic temperatures throughout, probably at least through the next 10 days. This could change as we go into late December, but for right now, based on our ensembles, it's not looking like that. And in fact, to show you proof of that, let's look at our ensemble height map. and you can see above average heights for much of the nation here of the United States and Canada. Now, because of this, the Climate Prediction Center has indicated here that much of the western nation is going to have well above average temperature chances. In fact, all this dark red here through at least Christmas Eve and Christmas Day will have a 80 to 90% chance for above average temperatures. Now, of course, if you're in the Central Valley like I am, if you're in any wind sheltered valley like say Kennefic over here, in say Washington and Oregon, in Spokane, Washington, that valley, prone to dense fog. So if you're in an area that's prone to dense fog, you could have actually locally below average temperatures, but anything above the inversions here, like the hillsides, the mountainsides, anything above that inversion, you're going to have temperatures that are well above average. So keep that in mind. Like the Central Valley will have probably near to below average temperatures, but you get into the foothills, it's a different story. And then, of course, across the eastern seaboard, below average temperature chances do persist there, but not for long. As we go through the end of December, this is on the Climate Prediction Center 8 to 14 day forecast. I mean, this is as high of chances you can get up here in the Dakotas, Minnesota. You have a 90 to 100% chance of seeing above average temperatures. That's expected at this point. And of course, for Indiana, you have an 80 to 90% chance. And again, this covers Christmas Day for these areas. In fact, not one area has below average chances here. If anything, Florida might get a little on the luckier side there, like Miami, Florida, near normal temperatures. All right. That's good. I mean, at least you're going to celebrate Christmas with, at least it will feel more like Christmas down there because your temperatures will be actually average, versus areas here to the north will not feel like Christmas at all. And if you're asking for a white Christmas, the answer is no, you are not going to get a white Christmas. I don't see it happening at all. So for those people that were hoping for a white Christmas, you will probably have to wait now until December of 2025 for that. Now, as far as your precipitation outlook goes, now, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, it's a different story. You'll have probably a white Christmas here for the higher elevations, for where it snows. If you have a cabin, if you have a house high enough to get snow, yep, you'll be lucky to get a white Christmas there. But yeah, anywhere east of the Rockies, sorry. All right, so now the precipitation outlook looks a bit concerning for the Pacific Northwest and for Northern California. Anywhere between a 60 to 70% chance for above average rainfall. It's nice to see that for the West. And then, of course, that continues through the 26th of December. I mean, even Oregon and Washington and far Northern California have a 70 to 80% chance for above average rainfall chances. So that is pretty decent. That is decent. And then, unfortunately, for Southern California, you're going to have below average rain chances. It has been very dry down there. No rain has essentially fallen down there. And so it's going to remain really dry. Feel bad about the Malibu fire down here still burning at this time. It's just only going to get worse because the conditions are only going to get drier because, well, there's no rain coming your way. And then, of course, for much of the Northeast and for the Eastern Seaboard, looking at drier conditions. Now, I don't rarely show this in my videos, and it's because my videos end up being too long, but we have to talk about this. This is our hazards outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, and what this shows is what is the risk of heavy precipitation in the form of rain. Then we'll get to the snow, and there's a moderate risk highlighted here for Central California, for Northern California, all the way across Oregon and Washington. Basically, the Cascades to the west is where we get the most rain because of the orographic effects. You can see there's a moderate risk for heavy rainfall there in our area. Hooray, right? We're getting more rain through Christmas, except if I'm going to have to work during Christmas at my grocery store, and I'll tell you what, if it's going to be busy, which it will be, and it's going to be pouring, we get to go out there and do carts. Hooray, I get to get soaking wet. I'm being sarcastic, folks. I am not liking this forecast at all. I want it to be dry for Christmas week, but no, we're not going to get our way, I guess. but it could change. You never know. And then a slight risk for heavy rainfall there for the deep south. And then when we take a look at our risk of heavy snowfall, there's a moderate risk of heavy snowfall for the Sierras of California, for the Cascades of Oregon and Washington, also for Montana and Wyoming, and also for Idaho. Going to get lucky there with a moderate risk of heavy snowfall. So yes, these areas will probably end up having a white Christmas, but areas east of the Rockies, again, not going to see much. And of course, your risk of high winds, this only goes up to a moderate risk. There's no high level on this one. There's a moderate risk for strong damaging winds for Northern California, for the Pacific Northwest. So it's going to be wet, snowy, cold, and stormy, in other words, with all these storms. Very El Nino-like, actually. And so, well, hey, if we can get a third wet winter in a row, I'm fine with that. I'm really fine with that. And then, of course, not much going on across the east. So, yes, us in Californians are stealing all of your guys' active weather, unfortunately. But anyways, if you found this video really helpful, informative, and detailed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button right now if you did like today's video, and if you want to get more updates here on the channel as often as I can possibly can. I hate slacking on the uploads. I really do. I'm going to try my very best. You know I'm trying, folks. But sometimes work gets in the freaking way, and it just doesn't happen. So I do apologize about the lack of uploading. I will try my best. I promise. Fingers crossed, right? And then to get more updates, you can also like these videos by hitting the like button and sharing this video with their family and friends on social media, and leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are about this video and how you liked it. All right, but anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video.